Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Esoteric Influences. I started this new series yesterday, if you didn't know. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling out the beginning part of the Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune and giving it its own space. I think that I take enough time with it during it that I think it really deserves its own video. So, and plus, since I only do the Somewhat Daily and Tarot and Rune, 4 days a week, then this would be an everyday thing. So, anyway. I do them. I might as well, say something about it. Every Sunday I post the esoteric influences for the week over on the blog. So if you just want to look at the whole thing, you can do that too. So you get an idea of what's coming. Otherwise, you can just check in here and hear what's on it. And because I'm just taking it directly from that. So, and we'll talk, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about it, expand on some of it if it seems like we should do that. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. We still have Pluto, Jupiter, Pallas, Saturn, and Venus in retrograde. So when everything's going retrograde, how I see that is basically a loosening of things so that maybe, and particularly perceptions. And so you can let a lot of things, do a lot of inner work and maybe rethink things. I think that right now, with the pandemic happening, with the protests over the killing of Black people in our country by officers, by police officers, we can use this time to really rethink who we are to one another and how we're going to move forward together in the future, because we can't do this anymore. This is wrong. You can't. I watch video of police officers beating people. When did this, it's not that you never saw this happen in the world or in this country, because it did. But every single interaction with the police, you have to fear now? Well, use this time when things are in retrograde to loosen your perceptions and rethink things. And if you're somebody that thinks this is okay, well, you're wrong. Anyway, Monday, today's the 8th of June. So we're talking 8 energy. We want to understand the greater picture and choose harmony and protection over self-interest. We're in a difficult cycle right now. Both the pandemic and the quest for racial justice continues. And I guess we're over 2 million now, or at 2 million infected. We have over 110,000 here in this country. I guess we've passed that mark or some such thing, 110, 112, something like that. As more and more you see people out protesting in masks, so praise Goddess for that. But just be aware that, as we try to build something better here for all of us, we need to do it in a way that protects ourselves right now, simply because of what we're dealing with the virus. It's going to tick up again. Okay, it already is. So just be aware. Today's rune is Perthro, the 14th rune of the Elder Futhark. The meaning of that one is the water element. It reflects the water element. It's about birth. It's about the womb. It's about chance. It suggests the well of word. It's although not a direct Norn rune, in a sense, it's their cauldron from which they pull the runes to give to Odin. So it's involved with all of the runes are involved with the Norns, but there's just a couple that are maybe a little more aligned, and Perthro's one of them, at least I think. Okay, but Perthro's about understanding fate. It's also about understanding cause and effect, synchronicity, and it's also about divination, trying to understand and divine the unknown. So today, on this Monday, we're going to watch for synchronicities as we all continue to take control of both our individual and collective fate. Be mindful of the cause and effect nature of your actions, as well as the effect of the dark forces surrounding us in our efforts to heal, not only from the virus, but from the virus of racism. Because if you think the COVID is the only one we're dealing with, it's not. Racism is a virus. It is. It's a sickness. It's a disease. And until we understand that and reject it, and more people are, or they always did and they're just now coming out, they found their voice, they're sick of it. And that's actually what I think it is. I don't think it's that people have necessarily changed their hearts. There will be some that are going to have to, obviously. But I think what you're seeing now are the people that have always been there, have always believed in racial and social justice, and are not afraid to come out now in these massive numbers. And it isn't just here, it's around the world, right? So here's the thing. We're in a split energy day astrologically as far as the moon. At 5:54 p.m. my time, Pacific Daylight Time, here on the West Coast of the United States, depending on where you're watching this from, I should probably say that. The moon's going to shift into Aquarius at that point. So right now it's in Capricorn. And so today, is a really good day to take care of details, get things going for the week and all of that. Use that Capricornian energy to focus and to work diligently and all of that. But you're going to feel toward, maybe anytime after noon, you're going to find that some of that's going to start to shift, and you're going to be wanting to express yourself in a little different way. You're going to want to think outside the box. You're going to want to, because that's the Aquarian energy coming in. You're going to welcome the unexpected and all of that. So whereas you may have a self-focus right now during the morning and the early afternoon, you're going to start maybe feeling like you want to go and talk with like-minded friends. So that maybe you're as eccentric as you are. So anyway, that could be happening today as well. There's also a Sun square Mars aspect. And anytime you have Sun square Mars, anytime Mars is aspected difficultly, usually head injuries are involved. So be careful, don't hit your head. But you could be accident prone. Today, but understand the difference between aggression and assertion, especially right now. If you're out there walking the streets and protesting and marching with everybody and doing all of that for the sake of humanity, really. It isn't just for the sake of this country, it's for the sake of humanity that we do this. We have become an awful place here. If we do nothing about this, we're no better than some third world dictator-run country if we don't do something about this. So I believe we will. You're starting to see talk. I guess Minneapolis is going to restructure their police department similarly to, I thought I read one did that in New Jersey, but I don't quote me on that. But there's another department that's being talked about now as an example of how this can be restructured away from this militaristic, violent type of an expression that's happening more and more in police departments around the country. I don't know that it's all of them, but I'll bet it's a lot of them. And if it's not, it's you've got people in the department that just should not be there. See, and then you fire them, you let them go, whatever, and then they go on and they get hired somewhere else. We've got to stop that. If you're fired as a police officer for cause like this, you don't go working anywhere else as one. You don't even work as a security guard. It's just that simple. We can't trust you. Because Lawrence O'Donnell, there was a quote on Twitter. He said he's been dealing with this for what? His whole career. He's been writing about these issues, social justice and police violence and all of that. He says it's not the training. It's what's inside the person that determines whether or not they're going to do that. You can have the best training in the world. We're all saying, well, their training's bad. Why don't we want to blame the individual themselves? Why don't we assign the responsibility for their behavior? It's not that they were trained to do it. I can't believe they were trained to do that. But you get a culture within a group forms, right? Creates a culture of violence and disrespect. And then this happens. You militarize the police department, you give them all these toys, you think they're not going to use them? Well, of course they are. And now, the guy in the Oval Office wants to sick the army on us. Really? No. So, understand the difference between aggression and assertion. Please use assertion only. If you have to do anything, leave the aggression outside somewhere else, because it's just going to complicate all of this. They're looking for reasons to shoot us all down, literally, apparently. They're looking for reasons. Don't give them to them. So understand the difference between aggression and assertion today. Make the Mars energy work for you, in other words, instead of against you. Now, moving on, lastly, to, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing well. The last part of the esoteric influences, if you've been there, you know, deals with a type of system called human design. Human design was created by a gentleman who took the name Ra Uru Hu. He retreated for a while to an island. He figured this all out. I don't know how. He heard a voice. I don't know. And anyway, he's since passed. Really, not all that long ago. Really, I think he was in his 60s or something. But this system combines the planetary positions with the I Ching, and I mean, I just think it's the coolest thing ever. So I just started including it in the esoteric influences because that's what it is, right? Not just astrology. I'm interested in that as well. But I like this. I love the I Ching, for one. But so when I saw this a few years back, I went, oh my God. I looked at it, immediately fell in love with it, bought the software, bought the professional version of it, not just the software, but the freaking professional version of it, right? Because I thought this is just the coolest thing ever, right? And so over time, I've been studying it. I've been buying their little modules, their training modules, the ones that I can buy. Some of it, I don't know if you can buy all of it unless you're enrolled, because they have a school. But I didn't really want to do that. I didn't know how interested I would be. But I love this. This is so cool. So here's what we've got for today. It consists of energy centers, your body graph does. There's 9 of them. And when they connect together, they create a channel. You're connecting one gate to another. And the gates are actually each of the I Ching hexagrams. So what you'd have then, let's see, I'll take this one. These are some cards that you can buy if you're interested in, you can get them off Amazon. They're the rave cards, or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, they look like this. And anyway, here's gate 1, which would be the first gua or hexagram of the I Ching, and you can see gate 1 is the creative. So if you had a line between the creative and the receptive, if that was possible, I don't know what it'd be, that'd be a channel, but you'd have 2 gates hooked together, right? So you'd have an energetic thing happening, energetic interaction happening. Okay, so and then they take not only the 64 hexagrams, but all those 6 lines. Yeah, they're around the chart as well. And so as the planets move, they interact with the gate and the line that they happen to show up in at that moment, right? At that moment in time. In the same way that they interact with the houses and go into aspect with one another and all of that, you could think the channels would be like an aspect in a sense. So anyway, just a little background on that. So you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so the channel of rhythm, which was active yesterday, along with the channel of awareness, the rhythm part is about being in flow with others. It drops off today. And the channel of awareness, though, which is a design of the thinker, that's going to be active all week long. But that supports our movement forward together. As more information comes out regarding both the pandemic and the push toward racial justice in this country, that's the sun's placement in this thing. We pursue a shared dream of healing the unnecessary division that's kept us apart for so long. And that is reflective of the Earth's position. It's necessary now to use discretion to discern the truth. Again, remember that aspect sun, what was it? The sun, square Mars. You're going to want to watch that. The idea about using assertion instead of aggression, I think that this applies here. To use discretion to discern the truth and how we react to what we learn. You see, do it assertively instead of aggressively. Because here's the thing, dark forces would prefer we not know the truth, okay? They don't want us to know the truth. They don't want anything to change, and that's the moon's placement here. Control the need for hostile confrontation, Mercury's placement, and avoid gullibility in the choices we make. That's Venus's placement. Truth and honor are on our side with those abusing their power, who are no more than a second-class ticket now. And that's Mars's placement. It's second-class ticket. I love it. Some of the names of this stuff is just very cool. If you look at gate 1 on the creative here, or hexagram 1, the creative, then you look at gate 1 or hexagram 1, the creative, line 1, creation is independent of will. Line 2, love is light. Line 3, the energies to sustain creative work. Line 4, aloneness as the medium of creativity. Line 5, the energy to attract society. And line 6, objectivity. So you see, there's different layering. There's the interpersonal, there's the personal layer, and then there's the transpersonal layer. 1 through 3 is the personal, and the 4 through 6 is the transpersonal. So the individual and then the individual within society and how we interact that way. And so you look at the different I Ching hexagrams and they contain all this stuff, right? You've got 6 lines. It's a hexagram, so there's 6 lines. Some are solid, some are broken, just depends, right? But within that, they created this whole system that I just think is just so very cool. But anyway, I guess that's it. I'm going to close out and I'm going to get started on the Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune video, and then after I do that, I'll get the correspondences going while I watch all of this, and we'll have that up on the blog too. So look for all that today. And again, right now we're focused on revealing truth and speaking truth to power and saying no more. And we're all trying to do it without getting sick. So I don't know. These are amazing times in this country, and I think that we have a chance now. Something feels different about this, and I think that we have a chance now for something better to take hold. And why wouldn't we? We are in a 22-year, the cosmic builder, a master number for profound soul-level change. So it's not coming from the ego this time. It's going to come from higher self, from spirit, from the collective consciousness of which we all are a part. It's time that we saw each other as the other side of self instead of the other, because that's the truth of this. We are all aspects of the Creator focused into form to give back information to the collective. That's what this is. If we work together on that, if we come together with that, if we see each other as the other side of self instead of the other, well, unless we're warring within, which I suppose is possible, that's really what we're doing. It really, even though it appears it's a war with one another, it's really a war inside. Why would we ever accept any of this? And yet we have. So, anyhow, have a good day. See you tomorrow. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Blessed be.